We are now going to talk about tracing, which relates to equitable restitution via constructive trust and equitable liens. What we've learned so far, just to do a quick review, is a court will impose a constructive trust, which again is a type of equitable restitution, if one, the elements of Restatement 40, which gives the plaintiff legal restitution, are satisfied. And there's three elements. There must be a benefit received, the receipt of the benefit has caused unjust enrichment, and circumstances are such that the recipient should make compensation for the benefit, right? Two, if there's a special reason why equitable relief is warranted, not just legal restitution, right? So we want some actual in personam order, not just money damages. And then three, in some cases, we have to go into this issue, which is, well, is there an identifiable property that we can even put a constructive trust over? And this is kind of what we call tracing. The third element here will only really apply when the property has changed form. And so what does that mean? Well, in order to identify what property should have been held in the trust, you have to identify, well, if the property has changed form, what is the plaintiff going to have title to? So here's a little example. Let's say that someone wrongfully took title to a house, and then that person sells that house, and then the title has now changed form into physical money, right? So the original piece of property that was wrongfully taken was the house. Now the person has a new form, which is money. Then the person takes that money and purchases a car. So we have a change from house to money to car. And now we want to put a constructive trust to get back what was wrongfully taken. In this case, we have no house, it belongs to someone else. There's no more money, it's now a car. And as long as you can trace the car, the money that was used to purchase the car, back to the original property that was taken wrongfully, which is the house, you'll be able to put a constructive trust over over the car, right? But let's say the house never changed form and just stayed a house. Well, there's no tracing necessary, right? The identifiable product is in its original form, which is the house. We don't have an issue. It's only if that form that property that was taken unjustly has changed form where this third element's going to come into play. Now, what if we had the title that changed into money? Some of it was used to purchase a car, but then some of it was used to purchase life insurance, and it was mixed with money that was rightfully obtained, right? So you have savings from the wrongdoer's account that was rightfully obtained through wages that's paying life insurance, and then the money that was taken from this house going into life insurance. We have commingled funds. Can we put a constructive trust over this life insurance? And so let's go back to our elements. Well, Restatement 40, yeah, all three of them are obviously met, right? There's unjust enrichment, there's the benefit of the house, which turned into money, which is the life insurance, which is all unfair because it was obtained through fraud, right? And that's a special reason is it's fraud and they want their property back. They don't want just the money. And so do we have an identifiable property? Well, the answer is yes. However, this identifiable property, the life insurance, has commingled funds, right? Rightfully and wrongfully obtained property. Should the plaintiff get title to the whole property of the life insurance? And that was the issue that we dealt with in the G&M Motor Company case. So in the G&M Motor Company case, what happened? Well, Thompson embezzled money for 2 years from G&M, and he used some of this money to pay his life insurance premium. Now G&M wants the funds back. However, a portion of the insurance proceeds are in possession of his surviving wife and child. And the issue is, well, will the court allow the plaintiff to impose a constructive trust on these life insurance proceeds when they're now in an innocent beneficiary's hand, and part of the money used to pay this life insurance was actually money that belonged to Thompson and was not wrongfully obtained, right? And so the court decided, yes, motor company is entitled to a pro rata share of their insurance proceeds, but not to exceed the total amount of embezzled funds. And so what does that mean? Well, on page 510, paragraph 3, the court said where the wrongdoer mingles wrongfully and rightfully acquired funds. The owner of the wrongfully acquired funds is entitled to share proportionally in the acquired property to the extent of his involuntary contribution. So whatever was taken from G&M that was put into the life insurance proceeds, well, G&M should get that pro rata share back, right? Not more, because then G&M would get a windfall where the rightfully acquired funds that were used to pay into the premium by Thompson, it never belonged to G&M. And on page 511, paragraph 1, the court confirms G&M is not entitled to recover the whole of the property, only a share in such portion as the value of his property bore to the value of the mingled fund, right? So only what you put in, again, is what you get back. And so let's pretend that all the funds used to pay the life insurance policy were actually embezzled funds, right? There were no commingled funds. In that case, would G&M get title to the whole life insurance proceeds? And the answer is yes. And the court discusses this on page 510, paragraph 2, before it determines, well, G&M didn't put in all the money into the life insurance proceeds, so it only gets a pro rata share. But if it was a case where all the money used to pay the life insurance proceeds was embezzled funds, well, a party, if they can trace that property, the embezzled funds, into the final form and character, as long as there are no superior rights of innocent third parties, even if the property appreciates in value, G&M will be able to take title to that property. What does it mean? It means if the embezzled funds can be traced as the money that was used to pay 100% of the life insurance premiums, right? So not commingled money, not wrongfully and rightfully acquired funds to pay the life insurance premiums, only wrongfully embezzled funds used to pay the premiums. Even if those premiums increase in value, right, by becoming life insurance proceeds, as long as there are no superior rights of any innocent third parties, then G&M is going to get title to the appreciated value of the life insurance premiums, which are now proceeds. Why is that the policy? Why is it fair that G&M in this particular case, when there's not commingled funds, that G&M will get a windfall, which is a higher value than what was embezzled? And so the court explained that an innocent party should get the windfall, not the wrongdoer, right? So we shouldn't allow Thompson to retain whatever appreciated value the life insurance proceeds might have given him, because he would have never been able to get the life insurance proceeds if he never had G&M's money to pay the premiums, right? So instead, the wrongdoer should bear the loss, and that deters bad conduct. And so we have one other issue, right? We have the wife, who's actually an innocent beneficiary. So, does it matter in this case that the wife is an innocent beneficiary and not a bona fide purchaser, right? Because if we remember this slide here, we cannot have any superior rights of innocent third parties, right? So, if there's superior rights of innocent third parties, G&M's out of luck. A constructive trust won't be available, right? Even if it appreciates in value. And so, what is considered an innocent third party? Well, like we talked about before, a bona fide purchaser. So a constructive trust cannot be imposed on a bona fide purchaser for value, even if the property can be traced to the final form, right? So if, let's say, in the house car example, if someone, the person who purchased the house from the person who embezzled the money was an innocent purchaser, well, we can never impose a constructive trust on that house because there's an innocent third party that has superior rights, right? Even if that house appreciates in value. But if the wrongdoer still has title to that house, you can put a constructive trust on the house and get the appreciated value of the house. Now, in the case of a donee or a beneficiary, right, someone who didn't pay value, they just get it as a gift, or they get it because it's a will, or they inherit it, right? In this case, the wife is just a beneficiary. Well, the rule's a little different. Yes, you have an innocent third party, but the innocent third party's rights to that property is not superior to the person whose money was wrongfully, I guess, embezzled. And so a constructive trust can be imposed if it's been transferred to an innocent donee. But in that case, if there were any improvements or anything, like if the life insurance proceeds were used and invested into another account, the innocent donee will be entitled to reimbursements for any improvements to that property. And so in this particular case, the wife, because she's an innocent donee, not a bona fide purchaser, she's going to have some of her life insurance proceeds taken away by G&M, who will get title to that money. And we'll summarize this all in class. I just really want you to start thinking about it. It makes a lot more sense when you practice applying it to hypos because there's a lot of sub rules and moving parts. But to really break it down to help you think about it systematically, how do I apply the rule of identifiable property slash tracing? Well, step number one, in the fact pattern, you look, did the property change form, right? Yes or no. If the answer is yes, well, then what is the final form of the property? Is it personal property? Is it real property? Is it money? Like, what is it? If not, then the plaintiff gets title to the original property, right? It's like the house equals the house. There's no tracing necessary. The analysis stops. But if it has changed form, well, now you have to look if it's money, or even if it's another piece of real property or personal property, are these funds or this property, the funds used to purchase this property, commingled? If the answer is no, then you trace the funds to the final form of the property and you get that property, right? Because it's you embezzled this money was used to purchase this new property, or you traded this house for this car. It's a direct connection. There's no issue, right? But if the funds were commingled, well, you now need to look at three things. What money belonged to the wrongdoer, what money belonged to the plaintiff, and what money might have belonged to a third party, right? Sometimes you have a third party's interest in there as well. And that makes it even more complicated. But in the G&M case, we only had the wrongdoer and the plaintiff's money. If the answer is yes, well, then what is the pro rata share, right? How much of each person's money or property went into buying this new form of property? And then you know what percentage of ownership they get. And then finally, did the property appreciate or depreciate in value? And what will the plaintiff get? Like, what is the final percentage the plaintiff gets based on the pro rata share? And is that the best remedy in this situation, right? And again, we'll practice applying this multiple times, but just like let it marinate for a little bit. But to help you think about it, let's apply this to the G&M case, right? First question, did the property change form? Well, the answer was yes, right? That we had embezzled money that became life insurance proceeds. Are the funds commingled? The answer is, well, yes, right? We had some wrongfully obtained money and some rightfully obtained money that was used to pay the life insurance premiums that changed into the life insurance proceeds. Now, what is the pro rata share? They didn't really say what the percentage was that was paid to the life insurance premiums, but you know that about 78,000 plus dollars was embezzled. And so now they're saying only a portion of this was used to pay life insurance proceeds. And so what will happen is whatever portion was used is the percentage of life insurance proceeds that G&M will receive, right? So let's say if there was 50%, the money that was used to pay the life insurance proceeds was 50% G&M's, well, then G&M will get 50% of the life insurance proceeds. And then finally, did the property appreciate in value? Here, we'll assume that it appreciated because usually your life insurance proceeds will be higher than the premium, right? And so because it appreciated in value, we have the whole issue, which is, well, do we want to ask for legal restitution, a constructive trust, or an equitable lien, right? And we'll talk again more about that in class when we kind of summarize all of these concepts together. But the next video is going to talk about an equitable lien, what that is, and whether that might be a better option than just getting legal damages or a constructive trust, which is the title to the property.